we're back for another EV Hangout. We got a special one. It's right before SEMA. Whoa. Okay. Very special guest tonight. Benjamin Parker. What's up, man?
Yo, what's up?
All right. Benjamin we found him on the interwebs. And he is doing a K-Truck, what we see behind you. And he's going to travel across the country. He's going, no, he's not, I don't know what he's going to do with it.
Not that crazy.
No, but he converted it from gas to electric, and he did it by hand. So like the adapter plate, he couldn't buy. I don't think you can buy adapter plates for these vehicles yet. Usually Canadian electric vehicles, they got everything. And then EV West has billet, Porsche, Volkswagen, all the performance stuff.
It's all just like USDM though. None of the JDM stuff.
Right. And now that they're importing the K-Trucks, it's game on.
Yep. That's right.
So pretty cool. And on the call, of course, we got my co-host, partner in crime, Talik, the Norwegian. How you doing?
Doing all right.
This guy was like, he was like a Viking. He was like rowing the boat right before he got here. He's like, well,
I did just get back from Vegas on the zero run with SoCal EVs, so it's been one trip after another the past few months.
Wow, dude. How many miles do you have on your Tesla now?
Well, my Model Y has 140,000 plus now, but I actually did the trip on a loaner from the shop I'm using with, so I got to do the trip in a Model X Plaid. So,
wow,
yeah,
nice.
That sounds like a trip. To be fair, that sounds better than my work trips.
That is super cool. And we got a big show coming up, the SEMA show in Vegas. I will be hosting several talks in the Switch Lab booth area, which is going to be awesome. And believe it or not, that is like it's going to be better than I expected. I was like, okay, I'll host a couple of talks, and then they sent me the list of who's talking. I was like, whoa. So yeah, let me just show you what's going on. You guys know anything about drift cars and whatnot?
I mean, Fast and Furious, yeah.
So let's see. So I'll be hosting with some EV technicians, the founder, and we got some neighbors coming in. Hey, I'm on the podcast. But what's kind of cool is they're actually going to do. Let's see. Hold on. Oh, okay. I don't have it here. But Lindsay Rawlings. Does anybody know? Do you guys know her? Okay. Oops. Lindsay Rawlings. She's the drift girl. I'll find her. I'll pull it up. I thought it'd be right on here. But she must be doing EV because I'm doing a whole thing with her, and that'll be really cool. Rawlings. And so she's kind of like, breaking into the sport. It's not easy because, being a female and stuff like that. So she's called the Drift. Hold on. We'll pull that up. Drift chick. That's it. Yeah. Secrets to drifting. Here we go. I'll pull this up right now. Oops. This is okay. So yeah, girl on the right, she's going to be talking with Switch Lab, and I'm going to do a little interview with her. She's probably putting an electric motor in there. And what's kind of cool is if you think about it, instant torque, right? You don't need like top end horsepower. You just need instant torque.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wheels.
Yeah, so that would be like the ultimate thing. Pretty cool. I thought that I would have. Oh, here it is. Okay. Oh, there we go. Okay. Okay. Now I've got it. Sorry about that. There we go. She's doing a poster signing, but also she'll be in the booth, and I'll be hosting an event with her. So I think it looks like gas. I don't know. We'll see. That's what's going on next week. SEMA is going to be crazy. Talik, tell us what's happening with SEMA.
Well, I'll be hanging out there with some of the Revolt guys and checking out, all the conversions, but also all the modified cars. I'll be looking specifically for electric stuff, especially conversions. But it's just a crazy show. It's like one of the biggest automotive shows out there, if not the biggest. At least in terms of like industry of like tires, suspension, you name it. Just anything that's going to be for modifying or improving your car is at that show.
Yeah. And I was there 5 years ago, and I was just there as a spectator, and you just won't believe what, you meet the right people, as far as like, these are the people you wish were like on your block growing up. It's like all the car people from the whole country or more get together and just have a big party, so pretty cool. So it's going to be a blast, and it's very creative. A lot of cool stuff you're going to see. It's just like an amazing thing that you get to see. There's so many different booths, and it went from EVs in the corner to front and center. So speaking of front and center, let's get to Ben. Ben, you converted this vehicle. How many miles you got on it so far?
I think we're sitting roughly at about like close to 100 probably miles or so in, which is like a little over one full charge cycle. So
okay.
Yeah.
And would you have a level 1 or a level 2 charger?
Just a level 1.
Okay.
It's doing like I don't even remember, like 9 amps or something, like not a lot, but
okay. That's all right. And what about so do you want to tell us your adapter plate story? And I'll pull up some videos that might help. Yeah.
I mean, like you mentioned, if anyone is like considering doing their first conversion, pick a car that Can EV makes an adapter plate for. That's what I'll say. If you wanna go this route. But basically, yeah. So this van behind me is a Honda Active from Japan. Teeny little engine, basically a motorcycle engine. When I went into making the adapter plate, I tried a few different techniques. What I ended up doing, I think it's at the beginning of this video. Like if you go, right around here. This was the first attempt. I kind of just used like the grease that was on the face of the transmission to get like a rough idea of the outline. And then I went back through and tried to trace it with a pen. This was like pretty not accurate. This was not the best approach. So I moved on from there to like a way that old like fabricators and machine shops used to make like copies of gaskets, which is like a rubbing. And that's where you basically just take a pencil with some, like thin paper and trace around the edges. This is you're seeing me like trying to use my phone as a scanner, which is not accurate. It gives you a good idea, but here's kind of what ended up being the most effective. So I did this 2 times and then scanned that into my computer, and I was able to trace that out on Fusion 360 or capture the holes that I needed to like mate the motor to the adapter or to the transmission. And from there, I had a laser cut. Well, first I just printed out what I designed in Fusion and then copy that into some like MDF, just using like a jigsaw. I just cut it out and drilled tools. And then
You get this. How did you get from the paper into CAD?
yeah, so I had this sketch, and then I just put it on like my flatbed scanner, scanned it into the computer, and then was able to kind of capture.
And how accurate was that?
It was pretty close. There were a few things that needed to be moved. And the hardest part, like we had kind of talked about before, for anybody listening, is finding the center, finding like
The center
centering
relative to the pins or the or your parameter, you know, or your peripheral.
Yeah, exactly.
Bell housing.
Yeah, the bell housing, because the input shaft only comes out, you know, roughly like 70% of the like space of the bell housing, so it's not flush with the transmission. So when you're getting a tracing or anything, you're not able to like get a sense for where that is. So that was the real task.
Sorry to interrupt you, but basically because it's back. So if you do a print or a rubbing, it's not at the same level. So the problem is you're not getting it. Yep.
And it's not like center. It's not, you know, every transmission is different. It's not going to be like, you know, it may visually look center, but it's really not. It's just kind of wherever it is placed. And so that was the hardest part. So I had like a laser cut, super thin out of wood version of my CAD drawing, and I had a part of it that came down to where I thought was center of the input shaft. And then I was able to take a lot of measurements with like calipers and adjust the design until I got it, for the most part, like pretty on. And I'm sure I'm not exact, but close enough. And yeah, that was the process. It was really like super trial and error, but
yeah. So if you have the engine, you have an advantage.
Yeah.
What I did was I had the same trouble. So I started with the same thing. I did the rubbing and I was like, how do I get the center? You could do a visual center, like is kind of what you did, right? Okay. Yeah. Then what I did was I had on the engine side, I knew that there's an offset from where the transmission is supposed to hook up to and where the crankshaft comes out to, and that distance called the magic number, which is super annoying. It's just annoying that they call it that, but that's how they call it that forever, even old conversion books from the 80s. And what I did was I 3D printed, no, sorry, I'll actually go over there and show you, but basically I put bolts in, and then I had the bolt came out, which gave me the flat plane. So then I went with calipers, center from the center to the side of the bolt, and I just minus the radiuses.
Yeah.
You know, so that's kind of like how I got the center. But then I still had to verify it. I verified it with a 3D print.
That's a really good approach. I had sold the engine before I up to doing something like that, but that's a great way to do it.
Yeah. So, you know, but everybody has a different, I've done it that way too. I've done a thing where I did a visual crosshair and it's pretty close. It came out pretty good. Yeah, you could get it real close. So it's not easy to do it like this. And the thing is, right, with the scanner, you can't just use the phone. You got to use like a real scanner.
Yeah.
So this guy Casey from what is it called? DevCon or something. He DevCon EV, he did he bought a scanner for like $900. And he said it's pretty good. It's called the Endiker Endiker Sprinter or something like that. I forget. It's from a 3D printing or 3D company.
Yeah.
So that one was pretty good. So then what did you do next? Once you had it in that?
Well, I went to the coupler from there. And I initially like went through a bunch of different variations. I was planning on essentially just making my own, like paying a machine shop, designing it, and having it just like lathed out. But that proved to be super difficult because there's just not a ton of space. Basically, the issue was, and I don't know what issues you have with clearance on your Daihatsu, right? Or Mitsubishi? What do you have?
Yeah. Well, actually, before we get to that, let me just show you. I have some photos of what I ended up doing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so that's my 3D printed bell housing pattern, but with an offset center.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, to really see it. You know, what I could do is, yeah, actually, I have a little video here. This probably help.
All right, welcome back. This was
so this is like, that's what it looks like when you're about to put it on. And see, there's your center, and you have to make sure your pins are lined up, and then boom, just whack it on.
That's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of worked out. We'll see how accurate it is. I had to print it again because I missed a couple of the holes, and then the print was a little bit bad, so we actually printed a third time. But yeah, when it comes to the coupler, there's a couple ideas there. So I want to hear what you did, and then I'll tell you what I did.
Yeah. I think probably pretty similar.
Okay.
I went through a bunch of different variations. I had that. The first thing I did before I even bought the van was I bought a like net gain motor off of Craigslist from a guy who had put it in his Beetle. And so I had one of those, I'm learning now, one of those old CAN EV adapters, which actually were 2-piece and had a, yeah, they didn't just have a set screw. They had, see, that's one of the new ones.
Oh, I see.
I guess they're old ones. It's basically
2-piece.
And I have it right in the video right here. Yeah, it's like a interference fit, like taper lock bushing with 4 set screws on the face of it. So it was really kind of hefty, but I thought I could maybe modify or reproduce something like that. I had seen, like I'm showing on the screen right here, that you could buy like sprockets that can mate to a shaft, a motor shaft, and the face of the sprocket people have like machined out to match their crankshaft so that they could put a flywheel on it, if that makes sense. I thought about doing something like that. None of those things worked. I ended up coming across a guy on one of the EV conversion Facebook groups who had taken his crankshaft out of his engine and basically just lopped the end of it off that mates to the input or the flywheel, and then machined out the center of it, added a keyway, and mated it to the motor. And so I took that same approach. And what I did differently was I had the middle of it machined out. I had a keyway added. I added some almost like just little cutouts on the backside, not the flange side, so that there was a way for, if I put like a coupler on the end of it, that I could like clamp it down and it would hug tight to the shaft. So
well, so let me understand what you're saying. So I did the same thing. I chopped off the crankshaft. I bought a crankshaft from someone else, so I don't have to take apart the engine. $30 from this company, I don't know, middle of Ohio or something. They do JDM stuff. And then chopped off the coupler, or chopped off the end, and then we're gonna bore it and we're gonna broach it.
Yeah.
And it's end of the crankshaft. The only issue I have, and this is just a 3D printed rep, the only issue I have is that there's a register there. I really want to get the real one, but there's a register in the center that is the kind of the hub for the flywheel.
Yeah.
And if you bore through and broach it, you lose it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So what'd you do about did you have to broach all the way through, or did you do like a half broach thing?
Let me see. Are you able to let me share my screen?
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah. So
I'm gonna try and get it.
so far as oh wait, let's see. Let's see.
What do you think of this? Yo, Talik, what do you think?
That's from your crankshaft, or that's somebody else's crankshaft?
Oh,
This
that's similar. Oh, his is different.
Yeah, so mine doesn't have that. Mine doesn't have that register. And a lot of other transmissions or engines like actually have the what's it called? The pilot bearing in the crankshaft. Like right here in this hole that you're seeing. Mine is not, it's in the flywheel. And so that input shaft doesn't actually like seat in that hole in the crankshaft, if that makes sense. There's
funny. Mine doesn't either, but they still have it.
Yeah, okay, got it. Yeah,
They
so
don't use it.
That's where I must have kind of lucked out. I mean, basically, yeah, so if
now there's no register, it's flat on there? Oh, look at that.
Yeah,
oh,
so this
dude, that's you. It's broached. It's bored and broached and on your motor.
Yeah, that's what this is. Yeah,
dude, nice.
Yeah, and so you can see right here, I actually had like cutouts. I don't even know what you'd call this, but like reliefs, basically, that made it so when I threw, I don't have a picture of it, but I put like a collar, like a shaft collar around this. Right here, and then there's a set screw in that shaft collar.
Is this the 2-part?
Yeah, so that's what it's like a 2-part, and then I was able to make the flywheel right up to that with the bearing right there. So
got it. I see. Let me share my screen because it's kind of like I'll just piggyback right off of this, and yeah, take a look at this. I have a picture. So this is where the flywheel, the transmission input. Yeah, transmission input. And then notice that, yeah, there's a bearing for it. But on this engine, because I got this crankshaft from something else, but it's the same engine, it doesn't, they don't use it. And you could see because there's the bearing and there's no bearing on this one.
Oh.
And that's the end of the engine. And there's nothing to stick in there. So
that's a funky looking one, yeah.
Yeah, but they do use it. This register here hooks up to this edge right here.
Yeah, that's on your flywheel.
Yes. And then you could see that that's the clutch spline.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is super nerdy stuff, but we're getting in there.
Yeah.
And then this is my what would be. I'm going to, build it like that where if you look, you could see I can section this so we could see it.
Yeah, this is a nice section.
And this is mainly necessary for those that are doing a conversion that haven't already had this made, right? Like,
yeah, please buy this. Do not do what we're doing.
And it's for anyone who wants to maintain the clutch. If you want to go straight to the motor, you can do something so much simpler. And
I have to say, the moment when that topic comes up, everyone says, "Why are you having a transmission? Why do you have a clutch?" Here's the reason. Okay, you don't need one, but why do you have gears on a bicycle? Because you only got two things that are going to happen. You're either going to run out of torque or you're going to run out of RPM. And in first gear, you're going to run out of RPM. And in the last gear, you're going to run out of torque. So that's why you have to switch. Those are the two things. How does Tesla get away with it? How come there's only one gear? Because they said, how do we get rid of it? So they said, okay, we'll just give it all the torque it possibly needs with a bigger battery pack, with higher amps and higher volts, and we'll give it all the RPM it needs with higher volts and a higher RPM. So that's the reason. If you have a motor that can rev to 16,000 and has, 200 pounds of torque or 300 pounds of torque, then you're fine.
Totally.
Then don't listen to us.
And their gear ratio is like 9-1, which is just, it's crazy compared
Something
to
like that. Yeah.
Anyway.
So anyway, what were you gonna say, Talik? Oh, okay.
Oh, they just make it one super high, where you don't run out of RPMs, way above what you need.
Exactly. So this is kind of my inspection window 3D printed adapter plate that I'm going to use. And I'm going to put my coupler on there. I've got this 3D printed coupler. And then I don't know where it is right now. I always seem to lose it. But the metal coupler I have, it's going to be cut like this. Cut in here and then broached. It's going to have to be broached from one side, that's going to be a difficult thing to do. It's kind of a special operation because broaching through, no problem. You just buy the broach tool. Broaching from one side, not so much, but that's why I printed it. Cause I'm like, okay. So anyway, yeah. So what was your next, what was your next move after that?
After that was basically figuring out how to mount it all. There you go. Yeah.
That's the 2-part. Look out.
Yeah.
Now I still could do the 2-part. It's not a bad idea.
Yeah, I mean the shaft collar I put on there is rated for way higher of a load than the motor will.
Oh, interesting. This is your relief cut.
Yeah.
But wait, where's the second part?
We'll get to it. So I heated it up, threw it on. I might have actually not recorded putting on the
collar. You mean the 2-part? It's like a collar.
Yeah, let's see. Is
it from McMaster Car?
Yeah, I'll show it. I think it's going to show in the next shot.
Maybe. Oh yeah. That looks cool. Look at that.
See it on there.
What?
Yeah, you can see it on there. Just on the.
Oh, okay.
But
Oh wow. What part is that? I could pull up McMaster.
Yeah, I might still have it on my account. But yeah, it seemed to work really well. And
what's it called?
It's let me log in here.
Let's see. Shaft collar. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, you got it up. Yeah, it's one of the probably top left, I think. In there, and then there's a bunch of options. Yeah, clamping 2-piece shaft collar right there.
Wow.
There's a bunch of different options, and they all have
I get it.
different ratings for the load they can handle.
Oh, amazing. And you can put this stuff in CAD.
Yeah, you can
cool
test the
thing. Interesting. Okay, that's cool. That's looking pretty good.
Yeah.
No, wait, why did you add that? How come you didn't just go with what you had?
I mean, there was no set. I think on yours you're doing like a set screw or something, right? You're like, what are you doing?
No. But I should. I didn't think of that. Yeah, we got to set screw the keyway, right?
Well, I mean, I have keyway, and then I think like the Can EV ones, right? It has a keyway, and then the set screw is like offset, right? It's like on the side.
Yeah. You got to do this.
Yeah, so I have that, but they have that and a set screw, right?
Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
There's a set screw right there.
Yeah.
So I could do that. That's cool.
Yeah, that's a little bit easier, but
well, then why'd you add the collar?
I felt like it was going to be more secure.
Okay, fair
Yeah.
enough.
Combined with the relief, it's just
I like it.
protection.
I
but
like
yeah.
it. And you
From-
haven't had an issue yet.
No. Yeah, knock on wood.
Dude, that is great.
But yeah, from there, I basically like needed to kind of figure out the clearance issues with the motor and how I could get it mounted. The main thing was like, I think this is the first one, but like things I didn't account for, like it looks like on yours you've accounted for a lot of this stuff, but the inner CV joint, like the inner side of it, was rubbing with the adapter plate. That was one thing I figured out. I figured out that like when I had it fully mated together, the motor, the adapter with the coupler and flywheel and stuff, there was still like a gap, like that magic number. Like I basically just, because if you notice, I just had like a straight flat adapter, which is not typically what it is. It's usually like almost like a bowl, right? Like looking at yours, it's like a bowl. So I thought I had accounted for the proper like offset and stuff like that, but I had to go back to the drawing board and basically have laser cut out what you could effectively call almost like gaskets out of the aluminum that added offset, so I could like get that right spacing, so that everything was like tightly mounted together, if that makes sense.
Awesome, man. No, it's great. You're willing to iterate. This is kind of what's needed.
Yeah, I mean, it's really like obvious. I don't need to add the disclaimer that I don't know what I'm doing. It's pretty obvious, but it is a lot. Like, let's just try it, and like if it doesn't work, we'll figure it out. If it does work, we'll leave it be. But yeah, that's like the way this build has gone. So yeah,
super awesome. Dude, awesome. And I remember you started with the DC, the motor, the black casing there.
Yeah.
That's an advanced DC from East Syracuse, New York. That's old school.
That one, it's black only because I painted it. It's
okay.
It's a
Was
neck
it orange?
I see over your shoulder. You got like
it's necking. Yeah.
The neck. It was the warp 9, which is like the historical.
Oh yeah, that's old school, man.
DC drag car motor, but it didn't at all. It was way too big. That's the biggest issue. I don't know if you're facing the same thing, but like I'm pointing out here, like how small the engine is. I basically had, I think this is years ago now, but I think I had only like, I don't know, like 14 inches from the bell housing to the leaf spring. Maybe it was 16 or something like that. But it's not a lot. There's not a lot of motors that are that small that can output enough.
This is a 3-cylinder.
Worth it. It's a 3-cylinder.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
No, I check the length based on your video. I was like, oh, I better check the length.
Yeah.
You saved me a lot of time. I owe you, man.
That's good.
Yeah.
So speaking of Ron's project, so what got you into doing a K-truck versus any other conversion?
Honestly, it was the guy who owns the property here.
No, we know I'm Mr.G. I want to know why Ben did a K-truck.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah. Sorry, Ben.
Yeah. So my story is a little different. It like is a lot of like naiveness, honestly. Let me share my screen here for a second.
Oh,
yeah. Was there something about the platform you liked, or like what drew you to the K-truck platform?
I had a different Japanese car. I had a 1989 Nissan POW that I had here in California. I brought here in California and learned very quickly like how difficult it is to register imported cars in California. And so I wanted to, I was looking into what engine swaps were carb legal, carb approved. This is a long version of the story. I'm going to be quicker. It was way too difficult. I saw a few guys when, I mean, this is the mecca of EV conversions, Southern California. Saw a few guys doing that with like Porsches and Beetles with forklift motors. And I said, like, if I'm going to do an engine swap, I might as well learn like the future way of doing it. So I started looking into it, and I just thought, if I'm going to do a car, if I'm going to do a build, I want to do something that's like relatively affordable, but I don't want to do like a Ford Taurus. I don't want to do like something that when I'm done, I'm like, this isn't really a cool car. So it had to be cheap. It had to be manual. It had to be relatively easy to work on. And that it had to be something unique, something cool. So K-Cars really like ticked all those boxes. I ended up, the other car I had was automatic, and I learned that it's really hard to do automatics. So I needed manual. Bought this one thinking I would learn and build it really quickly, learn how to do it, and then go back and convert that other one. That was a huge just mistake. I was totally wrong. This one sucked all of my time and money away, and I ended up selling that other car. This was the other one. But
oh, that's
Cool.
sweet.
yeah.
Wow.
So that was kind of the ambition, and that was what led me here. So I obviously still love the van. I think it's awesome. I learned a ton from it. I'm looking to the horizon on like what's next, and I want to do a car that I feel like, you know, is like really exciting, something that goes faster and is even cooler. So that's the hope. But
Nice.
yeah,
I like that. Hey, you know, you hit upon the key thing here, is that you really like the vehicle. And
yeah,
so I always tell people, they say, oh, I've got this, you know, cheap car sitting in my driveway forever, or my buddy just blew the engine on his Ford Taurus. And I'm like, no.
yeah,
And here's the rule of thumb. I think I've come up with the formula. If the engine as gas died and no one wants to replace it, then that's not a good candidate. You know, like if you were going to upgrade or swap or fix the motor, like right now they got I should show you guys. They got a Lincoln Continental in here from the 60s, and they're changing the engine. Why? Because the body's amazing, you know? So if you were going to do it anyway, you might want to try electric. That's just an option, you know?
totally.
Yeah. So, all right, cool. We'll like wrap it up here. This was pretty good. And yeah, this was good stuff. We compared some notes, and the journey continues. I'm going to try and get this thing rolling. I got a class coming up on November 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. It's already sold out. Just 6 people, but we're going to try and I'm going to have all the parts. We're going to put it all together, and we're going to drive out on the last day. But I got to make sure that happens beforehand. So there's a lot to do before. Either way, we have all the electronics already work. Got it working on a board with the help of Mark Weller over the summer, and it's all ready to go.
What part of whereabouts in California are you, Ben?
Southern Orange County.
Okay, I mean, I should stop by. I'm in North San Diego, so I'm.
Oh yeah,
I was in Santa Ana yesterday for the front retreat event at Rove.
nice. Yeah. So you
Oh
drove
yeah, Talik does reviews. Maybe would you take him for a ride? You guys could do like an on-road review.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, a little collab.
That would be
Sweet.
pretty cool. Nice. Yeah. And, you know, as far as the future and faster, that's actually kind of cool. The future and faster. The faster future.
How about this? Fast to the future.
Ah, okay.
Fast to the future. Nice. Well, as far as that goes, Talik's hooked up with the best in town. Eddie from Revolt. I mean, they're putting Tesla motors in and Mustangs and stuff, and the recent
CNC milled Tesla, like with the yoke at the end, like those are so crazy. The Mr. Green or whatever, that build that they just did for SEMA.
Simple Green is like a
That's
stuff
their,
you
like,
put in the shop
partner.
for, yeah. Mm-hmm. Cool
Yeah.
stuff. All right, we'll wrap up the recording there. EV Hangout, we're going to try and do it on Thursdays coming up. And next time I see you, we'll be at SEMA. Oh my God, it's coming up. I am not ready. All right, cool.